producer on the track.
And ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you into the second to last episode, we'll call it, of season 2 of Campus Gridiron. Hope you guys enjoyed the national championship game this past Monday. Ladies and gentlemen, Grant Flood, London Lay, Michael Cartosa, and for the first time, we got Kyle Howe on. Oh boy, he comments on a lot of these podcast episodes. He wanted to be on the last episode, so we're throwing him a bone. We're giving him some reps to get in front of the camera. He's in podcasting this semester, so this is good practice for you. Ladies and gentlemen, it was a very, blah first half of that national championship game, in my opinion. Ohio State came out, did what they wanted to do. Now, Notre Dame, I'm a little disappointed in how they performed because that first drive was just amazing. They took up so much time off the clock, but they didn't utilize that offensive advantage, and they began to struggle as the game continued.
That first drive is what they were trying to do, is just keep Ohio State's offense off the field because they kind of knew they couldn't stop their offense. So the best thing to do is to keep the best defense they had against Ohio State's offense was just not have them on the field. That's what they tried to do.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I watched the first two drives of the game and then fell asleep. Monday was a big day for me. I had other historical events taking place in the morning that I had to sit and watch. But I did watch the highlights, and Ohio State just proved that they were the best team, and they were the best team all year. And again, I'm going to take half credit for getting it right because I did say they were going to win it all week, Sarah. But I did pick Notre Dame, so I did end the season on a loss there. But yeah,
and that's what doesn't make sense is that you picked Ohio State as your preseason prediction. You pick them against Oregon. You pick them against Texas. They're rocking and rolling. They're finally in the national championship game. And for whatever reason, you did what I wanted to do with Washington last year, and that's picking with your heart over your head, and you went for Notre Dame. Now, we knew it was going to be a very defensive, tight game, and it didn't end up really being that. It felt like Ohio State's defense was great in the first half, and then Notre Dame's defense was great in the second half. Kind of both teams had turns showcasing what they could do offensively and defensively.
Yeah, I feel like Ohio State had the more explosive plays with the better receiving corps. I definitely think that had a lot to do with it. Notre Dame obviously took 11 minutes on their first drive of the game to get down the field. But then what happened, Ohio State answered right back in a couple minutes. Like, it was just from the start, yes, Notre Dame tried coming back at the end. But from the start, Ohio State just had more momentum, and they were just finishing drives a lot quicker.
I definitely agree. Doing this before people, if you want to chime in. Lennon, that's including you. I thought it was really interesting how it felt like in the first half, Will Howard, he only threw one incompletion all first half, firing on all cylinders. Chip Kelly was doing what he loved to do, and that was kind of dissect the short pass game, and they executed that to a T. But in the second half, Ohio State, they're up by quite a bit. They got the fourth down stop on the first Notre Dame drive of the second half. They quickly scored. They go up what I believe was a 3-possession lead. It realistically was over. But this is where you got credit Marcus Freeman, Riley Leonard, and the rest of the Notre Dame offense, they fought back and they got the fumble that led to the touchdown drive. They made it a one-score game with about 5 minutes to go in regulation. So realistically, Notre Dame just needed one defensive stop at the end of the game to have that opportunity to potentially tie it. Notre Dame's defense cannot get the stop, and that's when Ohio State kicked the field goal to go up by 11 with about 30 seconds remaining.
Mm-hmm. Same thing like Chip Kelly, like Grant said. He likes to dissect the defense with those short passes, and he did that in the first half. Second, third quarter is when they started running the ball. And then after that, it kind of went deep for that one play to Jeremiah Smith, basically iced the game. And when you can,
that Jeremiah Smith catch was massive. Third down as well.
Yeah,
that play basically iced the game for Ohio State to win it.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all expected Ohio State to kind of be, or at least I did. Drew didn't for some reason, but I guess I was right on that one anyway. We all expected Ohio State to make a good run. I don't think any of us really expected Notre Dame to. I mean, Notre Dame started off okay. They lost to Northern Illinois. We titled the next episode Notre Dame, and they rode it pretty much under the radar until the playoffs, and they did good. And Marcus Freeman's a good coach. I mean, he's young and inexperienced, which I think played a factor into why Ohio State was able to pull away towards the end. But still, nothing to hang your head down about, because Notre Dame Marcus Freeman has changed the way how the college football world looks at Notre Dame, at least in my opinion. Because I hated them with Brian Kelly, and now I was rooting for him against Ohio State now with Marcus Freeman. So Notre Dame will be back. Ohio State probably. Ryan Day needed that, even though he can't beat the Wolverines. He at least got his national championship, so that's good for Coach Ryan Day. But
we were just saying, too, Ryan Day, I mean, a championship-winning head coach should not be this disliked by the fan base. And even though the monkey's off the back and he finally got it done, and what was it, only his second or third year? Like, oh my God, he's really kept this program in championship contention. And oh my God, everyone's slandering him because he only scored 10 points against Michigan? Really? Why does that matter? Why aren't we slandering Marcus Freeman for losing to a team that was only in the top 25 for 2 weeks? I mean, really?
It's the rivalries, dude. Like I saw a post where a Buckeyes fan did a poll of it, what would mean more, beating Michigan or winning the national championship, and I want to say like 70% said beating Michigan was more important.
That's
winning the national championship. So that's just how they are, dude. I'm sure Michigan fans feel the same way. I don't know. I can't speak for them. I'm kind of the same. I would rather beat Florida State every year but maybe not. No, I don't want to lose to Florida State.
Michigan was hurt, and they still were able to beat Ohio State.
Right.
They were missing their top corner, and they were missing a lot of players. So people try to compare and ask the question, what team was better, last year's Michigan team or this year's Ohio State team? And it's not even close. I'm picking last year's Michigan team.
Oh, last year's Michigan team would destroy this year's Ohio State team, 100%.
I wouldn't think.
Well, maybe not destroy. But they would win by at least 2 possessions. I'm leaning towards 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you have to and again, that's back-to-back natties for the Big Ten. Yeah. So SEC had their string of 7 in a row, by the way. But anyway, it's cool. Good to let the other guys get some bones with them. SEC will be back with
it. It wasn't Oregon, so I'm pissed. It doesn't matter. All the Big Ten teams can win as long as it's not Oregon. I'm dislike. Don't care.
But hey, good.
Yeah, but still.
To me, that's not really a Big Ten team. That's a Pac-12.
Yeah, the Oregon. Yeah, that's so weird seeing Oregon in the Big Ten. That's just not right. But at least we don't have to worry about Iowa getting destroyed in the Big Ten championship from now on. So, because it was Ohio State, Michigan versus either Iowa or whoever won the Big Ten East. So, I'm glad at least we can have Oregon, USC, Stanford, maybe if they can get their football team together. Yeah. Different people. ACC too. SMU making it the conference championship. Their first year losing to Clemson like that hurt them, but It's weird seeing these new Texas made it to the SEC championship game
Yeah.
first year, so it's this conference realignment is insane.
I think it's interesting. We stated on the first episode that Texas was going to have significantly bigger impact than Texas A&M, but let's talk about A&M for a second too. This is a team that was ranked for a good chunk of the season, and I think they only ended up losing how many? 3 games, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I would say for the Aggies, it was a very successful season. And remember, they lost Le'Veon Moss for the majority of the season as well. He was their main running back, if you will.
And the best part is they play at Kyle Field.
There you go.
My name right there.
Let's see.
We're going off a team that surprises us. I mean, to me, South Carolina was something that surprised me. That team did very well, and even against Bama, one of those big giant schools down in the SEC. Alabama is one of the best, and South Carolina came in and almost beat them. And they only had like 3 losses, I think, also in the year.
I think BYU had a pretty good season too.
Mm-hmm.
They fell short, but they had a pretty solid overall season.
My surprise team of the year. I'm going to go with SMU. That was a team that I thought heading in was flying in under the radar. I thought Preston Stone was the clear-cut starting quarterback. Clearly, I was wrong because Kevin Jennings ran away with the starting job after week 3. And, they made the college football playoffs, which, considering I think their highest rank last year was no higher than 17th, it's pretty amazing that they were technically considered in the top 12 of college football this year. So that was pretty cool to see the Mustangs do well.
Mm-hmm.
Again, me and Mike knew they were legit after they crushed Pittsburgh. That was kind of the wake-up call that, hey, this team, they aren't going to be knocked down so easily. And they had a very good run, especially in the ACC championship game against Clemson. They played well.
I want to be biased so bad, and I think I'm going to be biased so bad. I'm going to say Florida only because a lot of people did write us off again, including myself, honestly, if I'm being honest. Because one, nobody expected Lagway to come in this hot, right, or play at all for that matter. Two hardest schedule in the world. I don't care what you say. I will argue that till I die. That schedule was brutal. We had one cupcake game all year.
It was the week 2 game.
Stanford, yes, it was. But to go 8-5 and finish off with a bowl win against a really good Tulane team, that's huge for Napier. Everybody wrote him off. We kind of turned the heat down a little bit on them. We got a similar schedule this year. I want to see how they bounce back. But Lagway won every game he started and completed 6-0. We would have beat Georgia if he didn't get hurt, and we would have beat Tennessee if Mertz didn't get hurt. That's a different story.
Well, you're right about that Tennessee one. You're right.
Florida took number 8 Tennessee to overtime on the road with a backup quarterback at the end of the game. We left way too many points on the board. Georgia, Florida, we would have won that game too. You guys can argue that. And then we got blown out by Texas. We don't talk about that. But to beat LSU, to beat Ole Miss, and to beat Florida State and Tulane to end the year was absolutely amazing for us. So that would be my most surprising thing, because I thought we were heading for like another 3. Like, honestly, I said 3-9 or 8-4. That was my kind of wall. And we went 8-5. So I'm happy with the way the program's going now. But
I mean, you could say the same thing about Miami. I mean, obviously, I thought we were going to be good, but not this good. I think we were going to be undefeated and ranked 13 in the entire country by the end of the year. We were undefeated. We're 10-2. We went.
But for majority of the season,
we went. We were 6-0, and then we got our first loss to Georgia Tech, and won against Wake Forest, then lost to Syracuse. So therefore 10-2. And then, I think we were going to rate it in the top 25. I did not think 13. I did not think we were going to be undefeated for 6 straight weeks and blowing out teams like we were.
Yeah, and also UConn, who's won 8 games in the last 5-6 years. Just won 9 games this year. So
That is impressive for him. That's
not
impressive for
just
him.
even though I'm a UConn fan, that's probably yes, they didn't beat great teams, but they still having a 9-win season. I can't even remember the last time they won 9 games in a season. I mean, they were 6-6 2 years ago, made a bowl game, and then in 2015 they made a bowl game. But it's this was a huge year for them. They actually finally got some recruits coming in next year. Not the best, but they got some. But just seeing them win 1 or 2 games every year for the past 10 years, winning 1 or
that
2
sucks.
games, and then finally winning 9, it was really cool.
So there are our biggest surprises of the season. Now we're going to go
there is one
into
another team that I don't think most people are talking about. Well, 2 actually, Army and Navy.
Ooh, yeah.
I'm going to throw Georgia Tech in that conversation as well. Those 3 teams
do not get enough.
completely just shattered any sort of expectation they had this year. Army and Navy were both ranked for quite a bit. Army winning the American Championship, right? And then, Navy pulled off the upset against Army in the Army-Navy game. And then, of course, you had Georgia Tech not only beating Florida State before we knew they were fraudulent, but they also, brought Georgia to 7 overtimes. They held their 8 overtimes. They held their ground, and they upsetted a lot of teams. So
Miami being one of them.
Yeah, so you really got to tip your hat to Army, Navy, and Georgia Tech for other surprises this season.
They're not getting talked about enough.
Speaking of teams that don't get talked about enough, Memphis finishing with 9 wins. Good for that program.
Yeah, Memphis has had a lot of good football teams recently, but they've never really made national news.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, but Memphis has always kind of ridden that medium for, but maybe, they were really good this year too.
Well, moving on now to what teams do you think disappointed? Florida State, obviously.
Yes.
Let's come up with a different answer than Florida State. And I got a couple, but the main one I'm going to harp on is Kentucky finishing 4-8. Listen, you beat Ole Miss on the road. You're supposed to take advantage of that momentum you potentially build. Kentucky simply didn't. They lost quite the majority of their home games. They had a tough game against Georgia, almost upset Georgia. They held their own against Tennessee and Auburn, got blown out by Florida, lost to Vanderbilt, and got absolutely smoked in their divisional game against Louisville in their rivalry game, last game of the year, which was also at home. So a lot of 2, 3, 4 possession losses for Kentucky after a couple of really nice victories. They never got going. And Brock McGriff will retire from football. He announced it. And now Kentucky is going to go with a new quarterback next year.
And Grant cannot, yell at me for this because I'm using his own logic against him. BC.
Really? Interesting.
They were doing good. They were ranked right into Missouri. At that Missouri game, just downhill. It kept losing. They even went to Louisville, had a 20-point lead. Blew that.
They really peaked after the Michigan State game. I thought they were going to be good. 4-1.
I mean, maybe ranked in the top 20, 25 to 20 range, and then after they lost to Missouri, they didn't win.
I think Alabama.
It was just not
Alabama had 4 losses. You should be in the college football championship if you're an Alabama team. You have a reputation of being there. That's the only team. I don't really say that for any sports team. But when it comes to Alabama and college football, you need to have less than 4 losses.
Yeah, I didn't want to say Alabama because I want to give Du Bois the benefit of the doubt.
I know it's
being
his first year.
I want to give him the benefit of the doubt.
But 4 losses is just too much, in my opinion, for an Alabama team.
I mean, they really lost a couple of heartbreakers. That one to Tennessee points out to me the most. And you want to talk about the game that basically prevented Alabama from making the playoffs? It's that loss to Tennessee. It was a one possession game the entire game until Tennessee pulled away with about 5 minutes left. So many chances for that offense to get clicking in that game. They simply didn't.
I think it was a different game. I go to the Oklahoma game.
Yep, Oklahoma getting blown out by Oklahoma didn't help either.
Nah, that game was supposed to be Alabama's to lose, and they lost it a lot.
Yeah, they also lost to Vanderbilt, which was pretty brutal. I mean, how you score?
That's like one.
Yeah, but
I understand it's Vanderbilt, but it's one possession.
Yeah, but
They
you
got
scored
blown the hell
35
out.
points, man. You scored 35 points. You got to win those. I hear you. No, definitely, it's the Tennessee and Oklahoma games that were a little concerning for Alabama. And to my knowledge, Jalen Milroe is going to declare for the draft. I don't know why the hell he do that. I don't think he's anywhere near like a top 3 round pick.
I don't even know if he's NFL ready yet.
I digress.
At their 6th round.
Yeah. You want that, or do you want to stay another year and really try to improve your draft stock? I mean,
It's true that he could stay in another year, but he doesn't want to risk injury.
fair enough.
I mean, as
Carson Beck does.
He has all the he has all the weapons with Alabama, right? You get all the weapons you want, receiver and running back, but you don't want to risk injury. In my
I mean, next year's draft.
Yeah.
Yeah. Beck, Milroe, Nussmeier.
Yeah. LSU's another disappointing one. We'll let Lennon take the floor for this one. Your most disappointing team of the year.
I want to comment on Alabama again. Everybody was so quick to judge Alabama because they've been on top for so long. It's their first year without Saban behind the rings, right? And it's Kalen DeBoer's first year with hasn't really got it. They still went 9-4. Now I know that's not big. Bama will be okay. I believe that Kalen DeBoer can get that team go. I mean, I hope not because I hate Alabama, but I think he can get them back to where they were. Most disappointing team, I'm going to say Oklahoma, but I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt for it being their first year in the SEC. They still went 7. They went 2-6 in conference play, but they went 6-7 overall. But I think everybody had Texas and Oklahoma had really high expectations coming in. The SEC, Texas exceeded them going 7-1 in conference play, or I guess 7-2 technically if they lost to Georgia twice. But Oklahoma, I mean, I know I hate them, but they really didn't look that good. They beat Alabama, which I think was their biggest win of the year. And then other than that, they even lost to Navy in the bowl game by 1. So hopefully Oklahoma can do a little bit better next year, but they definitely disappointed. Not me. I enjoyed it very much, but they were definitely the most disappointing team, at least in my opinion.
Fair enough. Moving on to another topic. This is going to be a fun one for all of us. I already know what you're going to say. You're going to say, Mr. Lay. I think I have a feeling what you're going to say, and I think I have a feeling of what I'm going to say. I'll go first. My favorite game of the season was Boston College defeating Florida State in week 1.
Mine too.
Gotta put that there. Listen, the Michigan State was the best ending of the season for Boston College. And I mean, I agree. I would say this. It was going to be Gators Tennessee if Florida won that game. Since they lost, I elected to change my mind to go Boston College, upsetting Florida State and pretty much sending that program into a disarray for the entire season. They were going to lose to Memphis the following week, and they didn't even win a game until they were, 0-5, 0-6, and they beat Cal. I mean, Jesus. That was definitely the highest point I've been as a BC Eagles fan since, I guess, following the team since 2020. And that was super cool. I really enjoyed that victory. Kyle, Mike, and Sam will tell you I was thrilled on campus that night. I was wearing my Doug Flutie jersey. It was a great night.
You should have seen him.
Oh,
This
it
guy
was a blast.
parading all
Oh yeah, that was our championship. That was our ACC championship
This
right
guy-
there.
This guy right here, he was jumping up and down when Boston College beat Florida State. I want to point that out.
We were. Let me tell you,
Hey, I was too, but for different reasons.
That was before Florida State was that bad.
This game.
That game showed they were bad.
This game was going on. A whole fight between Togos broke out behind us. This man turned around for 5 seconds, then went back to watching the game as the fight was still going on.
True.
That's just how I am with football in general. But anyways, people are stupid. Football's football.
Full on fist fight, and he goes,
Yeah.
I go,
touchdown.
I go, oh,
That really
oh,
happened.
look at Kai Robichaud. It's crazy, man. Robichaud declaring for the draft. Castellanos, of course, now on Florida State. It's crazy, really, how quickly that team just fell apart. But Florida State fell apart before we did. So that's a
And
positive.
BC just got some good transfers from Alabama.
Yeah, we did get a couple of decent transfers. We got the quarterback. We've also been highly recruiting. We've been getting like 3-star recruits.
We got the backup
which is,
tight end for
which
Alabama.
is brand new for us. I don't know. I'm hoping BC has a good year next year. Bill O'Brien's staying, which is perfect.
Yeah.
I had, to me, there was like 3 or 4 really great games, but I got it. I'm gonna say what I think Mike's was gonna be before. I agree with it too. I think it has to be Georgia Tech, Georgia, the 9-8 overtime game. That was just, I hate Georgia, but other than that, I have no real meaning to this game, and my heart was pumping the entire game. Georgia Tech was up big with like 3 minutes left. Georgia brought it back, and it went back and forth to 8 overtime. I was, really rooting for the Yellow Jackets, but Georgia showed their will, and they were able to get it. But that game was really just insane. Like, just the highlights of the game. It was crazy. And watching it live, me and Mike and Drew were texting each other like, holy, what the fuck is happening?
Well, Grant was passed out on his bed ill anyways.
Yeah, that was definitely my favorite game of the year. Well, that and Florida beating Florida State and planting the flag. That was
Really? Now, I thought, Lennon, you were going to say Florida Ole Miss was your favorite game.
Oh, shit. Yeah, that one too. That was a good one.
Well,
Too.
I thought that one was going to be yours, but there.
The LSU, the Ole Miss, the Florida State, and the Tulane game. It was 4 games in a row. Just amazing.
Yeah. So, like Lennon said, that was my favorite, but I'm not gonna say that because he said it. I'm with one biasy game, one real game that I think was the best. The first meeting between Oregon and Ohio State.
Yeah, that was my number 2.
Yeah, that was my number 2 too.
The one biasy game is the Miami Virginia Tech game.
Oh, that was a great game too. That was a touchdown.
It wasn't a touchdown, by the way.
It was not.
That was a touchdown. That was a
He
touchdown.
never controlled the ball fully.
Yes, he did. That's a touchdown. It's okay, Mike. I understand. It's a touchdown.
Yapper. Yapper. It wasn't a
Alrighty, let's
touchdown.
see. For me to watch on TV, I picked Texas Arizona State that no one talked about.
Yes, that was another
full
good
game.
one.
You see
Banger.
Cam Scatterborough all over the place, catching a ball, throwing a ball, running like he just did everything that game. And that was just a really exciting game to watch. And then in person, bias. I mean, it was the only college football game I went to this year. Seeing 2 basketball schools play each other at a baseball stadium. I'm picking the Fenway Bowl between UConn and UNC, 27-14. I mean, that was a really cool game. I never thought I would see a football game at Fenway Park. I know it happens every year for the last 7 years, but seeing my own favorite team in that, it was a really cool game, and they ended up winning. So,
Well, like you said, you had 2 historic basketball programs playing football in the baseball stadium. So it's just kind of a sports like full circle
pretty funny.
moment there. Yeah, that was not a good time for my second favorite team, but it's okay. I expected to lose that game. So I have the Gators beating Tulane for me. So.
At least I have the Gators. That's exactly what I said when BC lets me down. Anyways, let's go. Okay, let's go with breakout star of the year. I like this one. This is someone that you completely wrote off and just bawled the hell out. It could be a freshman. I'm scared to say that because I don't want you to say Lagway, but it could be a freshman. It could be someone that you just think was going to do flat out whatever and ended up exceeding expectations. For me, that's Riley Leonard. I'm going to go with Riley Leonard as my breakout star of the year. I was like, Duke, Notre Dame, what's the difference? I think I remember saying like this isn't like much of a offensive like scheme change at all. God, I couldn't have been more wrong. Riley Leonard this year showed that he can escape the pocket. He can throw very well when given time, and his accuracy is the best it's ever looked. If I'm Riley Leonard, I'm declaring for the draft because I think he is definitely a worthy draft pick, probably somewhere in around the 3rd or 4th round. But Riley Leonard really surprised me. I was like, okay, he's Riley Leonard. He's already reached his ceiling. He definitely did.
All right. I have one. So Kyle McCord with Syracuse.
Yeah.
He led all NCAA with 4,800 passing yards. He also had 34 touchdowns, only 12 interceptions with Syracuse. Syracuse doesn't get talked about much at all, but they actually had a pretty solid season too. And he actually balled out coming from Ohio State. I thought he had a really good season. He surprised me.
I mean, I'm going to go with 2 people. I'm going to go with. There's obviously, Cam Ward. Who thought he was going to be this? I understand that's biasy, but at the same time.
I knew he'd be great, but I didn't think he'd be this great.
Like a top 5 pick.
Yeah.
Heisman winner, leading the league in all touchdowns, to have 300 yards and 3 touchdowns in 6+ games consecutively. And then freshman Jeremiah Smith. He won Ohio. He won Ohio State Iron Nut, which is one of the most prestigious things you could win in Ohio State for working in the weight room. He was one of the only first freshmen.
Ohio State's always got the best receiver.
I know. I called him the tree nuts, and Grant has kind of stole that and took it as his own. I'm not going to say Lagway only because you said that you would have to write the person off. I'm going to say Ashton Genty, honestly, because I didn't think he would have the season that he did, and he ended up should have winning the Heisman, but that's a different discussion. He made the Heisman finalist. He almost broke Barry Sanders' all-time rushing record. Was he 28 shy? I think it was. Or
something like that. It was within 40 yards.
And I remember, I forgot what episode it was, but I think it was Boise State, Washington State. Grant was talking about how good Boise State's run game was, and I said, no, it wasn't until – and then it was the next week where I saw him go, I said, oh, okay, I might be – wrong. So I'd say Ashton Genty is going to be my breakout.
They almost beat Oregon, number 1 seed, too. They barely lost to them.
That game was absolutely insane. That was a great game. I forgot. Nobody said that one. That was another really good.
That was another banger. I only saw the first quarter of that game.
Me too, because it kicked off at 10 o'clock at night.
Well, that's the only time Boise State played was that their game started at 10.
Yeah, West Coast.
So.
Those damn West Coast games. Yeah,
hey, it's okay. You could stay up until midnight and see the kickoff of a Hawaii game. Yeah. I did that. I did that once this year. I just said, screw it. It's midnight. I got nothing to watch. Oh, Hawaii's about to kick off. Yeah. Sure did. I love driving Sam Mental. Anyways.
If it's midnight and you can't sleep and you want to watch football, Hawaii's going to be on.
Well, I don't know. Those are the awards I had in mind, game of the year, favorite,
Yeah.
all that stuff. Anyone else have any fun awards? I want to point out that me and Lennon at the beginning of the year were so confident that Jackson Dart was going to win the Heisman, and that did not end up happening. So that's all right. But Dart still had a good year, and if the rumors are true, he kind of built himself up from a second, third round pick to a first round pick if all goes well at the combine. So, hey, it ultimately went well for Dart. Maybe he didn't win the Heisman or he wasn't in the race, but hey, he still balled out and had such a good season.
We did uniform of the year, right? Last week.
Oh yeah, we did uniform of the year. That was the Vice FIU. Yep. Classic Miami, but it works. It's beautiful.
Okay. I was just trying to think of other things I couldn't remember if we did that or not, but now I do.
We've already talked about Kyle. Who's your Heisman Trophy winner this year? You gonna go Genty or Hunter? Who would you chosen? We are all very pro Ashton Genty, but what do you think?
It's really hard to decide because you look at someone who plays 2 sides of the ball that obviously it's like a Shohei Ohtani type player, you don't see that every day at all. You do see rushers do good. They don't see them at Ashton Genty level. No, you don't. You don't see that anyone of that kind of level. So getting 3 touchdowns a game and 150, 200 yards plus a game, that's just unreal. But Hunter playing two sides of the ball too is tough. So it was really, for me, 50-50. If I had to pick one, I would probably pick.
Be smart. No.
It's
Drum
really
roll.
close. I'll pick by 1% more, 51-49, Ashton Genty.
Yeah, I was pretty on
But
the
it's-
51-49%.
Yeah.
So I was,
And that's not. I have nothing against Travis Hunter as a player. He's freaking amazing, generational talent, and future New York Giants star player. But anyway, he only was in the Heisman running because he played both sides of the football.
Mhm.
Do we all agree with that?
Yes, the only
'Cause, like-
thing would be the difference of competition. Yes, he played Oregon at an Ashton Genty, but being in their
That's a
conference
good.
compared to
that-
Colorado, who plays tougher teams, so
Yeah,
he's going against tougher competition compared to
Mhm.
Ashton Genty, who didn't have tougher competition except for a couple of games. So it's like,
Yeah, that's another point too. Is like maybe if he wasn't on Boise State, it would have been a little bit closer than it actually was. But I mean, we all knew it was going to happen, but we all had hopes the committee would go a different route, and they didn't. But it's a whole. I don't want to get into it because it's crazy. But it's just, it's cool. He's a great player. He's a generational talent, no doubt. And
I mean,
watch the catches he made against North Dakota State. Jesus.
I mean, I don't know if Genty got a girlfriend, but he might be winning that department over Hunter.
Another thing.
that was not as bad as I thought. We're not getting canceled. Okay.
Wow.
we can
That's
breathe and
crazy.
exhale. Anyways,
Good Lord.
we are going to wrap this up with our worst prediction of the year. Oh, this
for a
is
single
perfect.
game or a player.
This is perfect. Player, game, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm going to answer for Drew. He said Colorado would win 3 games. Me and you both said right out of the gate, Len, and that was BS. And it certainly was. Played in the bowl game and got a Heisman Trophy winner and 2 of the most likely top 5 picks in the NFL draft. Sorry, Drew. That one was an L.
Yeah, I have pretty much every pick I made I could put down for this, honest to God. But I am going to say me picking Illinois over Oregon is probably the
That was
dumbest
a pretty
one
bad one.
I
That
ever
was a
did.
bad one. Me and Mike were both like, the hell are you
Oh, man.
doing?
Dude, the second that game kicked off, I was like, "Oh, I am going to lose this one." Oh man, I think that was pretty. I was stayed in line kind of, but most of them involved Oregon. Like I picked Oregon State to beat Oregon, and then I picked Illinois to beat Oregon, and after that, I picked Oregon all the way till the Rose Bowl. Oh, but that was a rough one.
I think my thing was that Grant agreed with you with this one. You and Drew went against it, but I picked Georgia over Georgia Tech. They did win it, but I thought that game was going to be a complete blowout. I thought Georgia was going to win by like 35 points. Again, like Lennon said, it was the best game. They went to 8 overtimes. I did not think that was going to happen at all. I was completely wrong. I was right with the winner, not with how much they were going to win by, though, at all. Not even close.
Yeah,
I would say in the middle of the season, I thought Georgia was going to three-peat. Before he got hurt towards the end of the year, I did think Georgia had the talent to win it all. But
don't get me started on the Bulldogs, man. I don't.
I
No,
also thought Trevor Etienne would have a much better season. I was definitely wrong on
Yeah.
that. I thought he should have, but I thought he would have a better season running for Georgia.
let's just say I was glad Florida's defenders took him out of the Florida game. Anyway,
Now that we can't say. Anyways.
it's not that outrageous.
Oh, yeah.
He came back in a few weeks.
All right. I completely agree. Trevor Etienne struggled. I mean, I was just looking at my predictions, and I didn't really have any outrageous predictions, but I mean, I've said Oregon would go undefeated, and they didn't. And the fact that they got blown out in the
Yeah,
Rose Bowl
but
against
I mean,
Ohio State does kind of
They
it did
did good.
humble me a little bit. So definitely, and I already mentioned the Riley Leonard take. So I'm gonna go with very confidently picking Oregon over Ohio State in the Rose Bowl. I was pretty convinced Oregon was going to win. I knew obviously Ohio State was great with a great receiving core, but I was pretty confident Oregon was going to win by 10 to 14. So I'll take the L for that one. Damn, Ohio State just proved me wrong, and they won the Natty, so good for them. They beat the best team in the regular season, and they showed why they beat the best team in the regular season.
And I picked Ohio State confidently.
That you did. All right, fine. Genius pick of the year. One last one. Well, why end on negativity? Genius pick of the year. Go, Lennon. Start us off.
Florida over Ole Miss. That's probably my biggest one because I was the only one to pick Florida over the Rebels. Now, was that a biased pick? Yeah, maybe. But I did think we had a good chance to beat them. So I'm going to say picking Florida over Mississippi. Or I guess also my worst one is probably Florida over Miami. That was a rough one.
No, it was pretty bad.
But my best one's definitely Florida over Ole Miss. That's for sure.
I'm going with what Grant just said. I confidently picked Ohio State over Oregon in the playoffs. And that's what they did.
It was only 34-0 in the second half.
Yeah, exactly.
Second quarter, I mean.
Be quiet.
Jesus.
Kyle goes first.
All right, I was saying I thought they were going to win it all once we were at the playoffs, but I knew they would make at least the Final Four, Texas. So
Yep.
I knew they would.
He was confident in Texas
He
all
was
year
very
long.
confident in Texas. I remember when he texted me the first time. I was like, I said they could win it. It's just how their offense fares, and it's literally what happened. Is their offense just could not get it together in a bigger moment.
Yeah, that play call.
That play call, I mean, at the 1 yard line was one of the worst. You really a bootleg pass, and you could have put in Arch Manning to run it. I mean, it was just not smart at all.
That's what I was afraid of. That's why I was hesitant to pick the Longhorns, was because I knew their defense could keep them in it. I just didn't trust their offense and play calling. And that's exactly. I mean, you're right there with a chance to tie the game late in the fourth. You throw a freaking whatever toss out to the left, gets blown up, and then you fumble the football, and Jack Sawyer picks it up and goes 80 yards to the touchdown zone.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna go team and player here. I was confident that Penn State was going to be pretty good, and the fact that they finished with only one regular season loss to Ohio State, that made me pretty confident. Drew Aller was a name I was saying a lot in the first couple weeks of the year, and he played really well. He's coming back. The run game with Singleton is amazing, and that other running back, but. Singleton's a beast. Yep, Abdul Carter on defense. I've been learning his name over the past couple of months. He's really been impressive. Overall, I was happy with how Penn State performed. I said they would have 2 losses at worst, and they only had 2 losses if you include the playoffs. So I'll take that one as a success. And then for players, Mike and Lennon, you boys already know where this is going. I said since week 2 onward, Mekhi Hughes. That's the name to watch. The sophomore running back at a Tulane, and guess what? He freaking balled out. Over 1,400 yards, 15 touchdowns. He was the top transfer in the portal, and he goes to Oregon. That is massive. So for team, Penn State. For player, Mekhi Hughes. Genius on both.
Pretty good pick.
Yeah, that was a really good pick.
No, y'all knew where I was going with that. Y'all already knew.
Transferred out to Oregon.
Right? You know what?
Transferred
That's
to
all
Oregon.
good. Now he transferred to Oregon. Now he's gonna ball behind a great offensive line. I can't wait.
I want to get demonetized, so Grant's been writing about.
Okay. Anyways,
I said you know what? I didn't say the
when
word.
you said the word demonetized before that, I got petrified. Ladies and gentlemen,
I didn't get it.
this was season 2 of Campus Gridiron. This was a lot of fun. Me and Lennon, we said if we could film every week during the season, it would be a success, and it certainly was. I don't know how the hell we did it. You working, me and Mike at college, but hey, we managed to film every week.
Yep.
That was
Yeah, I'm going
amazing.
back to school
From
too.
week
We'll see
zero
how season
straight
3.
through the week after the championship, we did what we wanted to do.
Oh yeah. Hope fingers crossed we can do this next year because this is really
This was a
fun.
lot of fun. This was a lot of fun. And if we do this next year, my goal will definitely be to up the ante on the social media page. That is for certainty.
I
Yeah.
will be back.
Mike will be back.
Kyle should
Kyle
still
will join us
Some
more
couple.
frequently. Yeah, he'll join us more frequently. Maybe when there's like massive games going on, you could hop
Hopefully
on
for
for
the
that.
first video, just so I can get predictions in the beginning of the
Oh,
year.
for
See if
sure, for sure. Hopefully, we will have Drew on more frequently next season as well. He is busy training for baseball season. So if you're wondering why Drew didn't really get to join us from December onward, that is why. He's super busy with high school and whatnot, and his athletics. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to conclude. Almost conclude. Well, it's going to conclude season 2 for now. We'll have the mock draft in March, right after the combine. We're going to have our first round mock draft. Same thing we did last year. I'm sure Kyle and Mike will certainly be joining us for that one.
I have no idea
that'll be a
who
lot
Kyle's
of fun.
going to say the Seahawks are going to take in the first round.
Oh, it's going to be exciting to see. We got Jaguars, Niners, Seahawks, and Giants. And if Drew joins Miami, we're going to have
He's a Tampa fan.
what? He always confuses me. He freaking flip-flops.
No.
You can't tell me he doesn't flip-flop.
Yo, no, I have known him my whole life. That boy is born and raised Tampa Bay Bucks fan.
Before we end, if this video gets 1,000 likes, Lennon will be flying out to Massachusetts to come see us.
Yeah, get us 1,000 likes so Lennon can fly out to Mass so we can. Dude, just apply to our freaking college. We can learn.
The acceptance rate is high.
The acceptance rate is high, as Sam said. 'Tis is true.
But if you want,
Why do I got to go to Mass? Why can't y'all fly down to the free state of Florida?
Because it's 1 versus 3. Sorry, that's not how that works. We have a Giants fan in the friend group. Is that a deal breaker?
I don't know. We'll definitely.
Come on, we can watch football together. Screw
Yeah.
these two. We can watch NASCAR together. Oh yeah.
I'll sit through it.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been season 2 of Campus Gridiron. We will catch you guys in March for our NFL mock draft. Until then, we hope you have enjoyed the journey. That was season 2. Can't believe it, Lennon, but we've been covering it for a year and a half. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Oh man, I wish if I had time, I would have made a whole video montage thing and made this a whole depressing season finale. Hey, I have time. Maybe I'll end up doing that for the mock draft, right? I'll have 2 months to brainstorm on that idea. Anyways, for now, ladies and gentlemen, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you enjoyed the season, and until next time, take care.